we probably would drive.
Actually, shout out to Scion. We do drive sometimes. Exactly. But I mean, the point for me was like, it's interesting when you think about that. Like, a lot of your music, you know, has a lot of soul in it, right? The pace is a little slower, right? For us, I think, you know, the disconnects from the south to the east sometimes was that, right? We're in a train, there's a million people going back and forth, and that hustle, we needed that music that was kind of upbeat for us at that time, right? Talk about the car culture and your music a bit.
I think the environment kind of dictates that. I think when you're in New York, New York is a very fast-paced city. There's a lot of people moving around, and there's hustlers in every city. But in New York, like, hustling is on the third, fourth level. Like, it's a whole other tier of hustle. Like, has anybody ever heard the term jostling?
Yeah.
Jostling is pickpocketing, for people that don't know. Like, and I know a lot of dudes, like, in that early, like, there's the guy that did the video for Take It Off. God, what his name is? Brian, I think it's Brian LeVar. And he was like, yeah, man, I started my days jostling. I was a pickpocket. I was in Times Square, and, you know, we just walked Times Square and looked for people looking up. Wow. You know, anybody looking up, obviously is not from there. They're infatuated and, you know, distracted by the skyscrapers, you know. So it's a very fast-paced life that people live, not to mention the cost of living is crazy. So you have to work. I have a lady that drives me when I go to New York, the car service that the record company was sent to pick up. And she and her husband, they live together, they both have 2 cars, but 1 parking space, because they can only afford 1 parking space. So she has to work days and he has to work nights, and when she gets home, he's got to go. Well, in Houston, we don't necessarily have these issues. Life is a lot slower paced, the cost of living is a little cheaper, you know, so it doesn't cost as much you don't have to work as hard, you know, I guess, for some people, to get basically what you need. Things are a lot more accessible here. And you don't have to pay for parking. Like, I don't know if people know anything about New York. I'm from Texas, so this really threw me off. Like, if you move into an apartment complex or somewhere, you get the apartment, but you still gotta pay for your parking space.
Which is like a whole nother apartment.
Yeah, that blew my mind. Like, people in the projects, they're in the projects in New York, they're spending $1,500 to live in like a 1-bedroom, where they gotta walk up 9 stories, and then if they're lucky enough to have a car, they gotta pay another $600-700 a month just for the parking space. So in Texas, like, I'm very lucky that I'm here, that we didn't have to work that hard as far as to survive, but with that